Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. We are very delighted to have you here today. And thank you so much for making our time to be with us for this session today. It's going to be a very brief session because we know that everyone is very busy, and we're going to just try and keep it as short and as sweet as possible. We want to say a very big thank you once again to every single person that has joined us today. You're welcome to the financial fitness session organized by Stanbic IBTC pension managers as part of our pre-retirement engagement with our customers. And today I have with me a number of my colleagues who are going to be co-facilitating this session, and I will do a quick introduction and then we'll go into the matter at hand. So with me today is Kenneth Omiogu. Kenneth is the zonal manager for Stanbic IBTC Pension in our South region. Kenneth, please, can you say hi to everyone?
Hello, everyone, and I'm really glad to be here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kenneth. I also have with us two of our senior executives who are also going to be sharing some very insightful details with us today. First, I would introduce Yinka Johnson. Yinka Johnson is the head of our business development management team. Yinka, please say hi to everyone. Sorry, Yinka, I think you're muted.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. You're very welcome.
Thank you, Yinka. And we also have Mr. Charles Omwera. Charles Omwera is the Chief Executive of our Stanbic IBTC Trustee Business. Charles, please say hi to everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you this afternoon.
Thank you, Charles. Yeah, and finally, I would be introducing in a few minutes our Executive Director for Investment Management in the person of Dare Otituju, and he would be giving us a welcome address. But before I bring Dare on board, my name is John Okwelebe, and I head the micro pension and business for Stanbic IBTC pension managers. And our objective today is to explore financial fitness towards retirement, which is, I think, is a very germane topic. Over the last 2 weeks, we've had two different sessions, one on managing health and social engagement towards retirement, and the other one on how to access your pension benefits at retirement. Now, if you participated in any of the two sessions that we've had before, please, if you look at your devices, there's a chat icon. You can go in there and just indicate, which of the days you participated in, day 1 or day 2, or you can say day 1 and day 2. We would like to know if you have participated in the previous sessions. And if you hadn't participated in the previous session, it's also okay. You can also go into the chat area and say that you are a first time, you're participating in this session for the first time. Today is the last session that we will be having, and we look forward to a great time with you this afternoon. Now, without further ado, I want to introduce Mr. Dare Otituju, our Executive Director for Investment at Stanbic IBTC Pension Managers, to give us a welcome address. Dare, over to you.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, distinguished clients. We are highly excited to have you here this afternoon, and we do appreciate the time out of your very busy schedule for you to join us this afternoon. This is a very important topic to us, making the best of your post-work life. As we all understand that part of one of the major pillars and laws of personal finance is the law of retirement, which speaks to us making provision for our post-work or post-effective work life. You do not want a situation where after such a rigorous number of years of service, you end up not living that quality of life that you were living while at work as a result of non-provision for that future. So it's very important in our mind, and we are very mindful of the fact also that it's not really that those of us that will be attending this session this afternoon have retired. Some of us may still have 5 years, some of us may have 10 years, some may have 15 or even more to retirement. But it's important that we plan ahead and be very familiar with the terrain and the type of risk and issues that we'll be having post-retirement. And so it's very important that we participate this afternoon. Do send your questions to us and ensure that we make it an interactive and engaging time for the benefit of all. Once again, I thank you very much for coming. And my job is very easy this afternoon, as I will be handing over to our colleagues that will be taking us through the session. There are no stupid questions. The stupid questions might be those that we refuse to ask when we are not very sure. So please, let's ensure that we ask all the questions, and we are here to provide you all of the answers and support that you may so require. Thank you very much, and do all have a wonderful session ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dari. Thank you so much for that warm welcome. And we want to say a very big thank you to you for making our time to address us this afternoon. And everyone, that's Dari Otitujo, our Executive and Director Investment at Stanbic IBTC. And like he mentioned, there are no stupid questions. I'm very, very happy to see that we're already getting a lot of engagement in the chat area. So please don't be shy. Go in there, ask your questions. As we continue this session, if you need clarifications on anything, please post them in the chat area. We have a team in the background that is going to be addressing all your concerns and your questions as we make progress. Now, quickly, before we go into the matter at hand, I want to encourage everyone on the call. If you use an Android device or you use an Apple device, please go to the respective phone stores and download a QR code reader, or what is called a QR code scanner. I'll give everybody about 30 seconds to a minute to just do that right away. Now, why do we want you to download the QR code reader or scanner? It's because in the course of this session, you are going to be coming across this particular code that you're seeing on the screen right now. Now, this code will take you to a form that we call your wealth needs. Now, what you're supposed to do on that form is a very short form where you would simply populate your name and your contact information, and then you have a series of options that you can select from in terms of the areas in which you need support or assistance from us. And we assure you that the minute you complete that and you hit the submit button, within 48 hours, we will have our experts in those respective areas reach out to you and engage you further on those areas that you need support, help, or clarifications. Also, we have gone ahead and posted the link in the chat area. So if you are unable to download the QR code reader or scanner, you can actually click on that link and that will take you straight to the form. Again, the form is a very simple form. You don't have to do it now. All you need to do for now is download the application or click on the link and have it open. As we progress in the course of this conversation, anything that piques your interest, any area that you realize that you need support, you can then go in and indicate it, and we'll get our experts to reach out to you within the next 48 hours. My name again is John Okwelegbe, and you're welcome to this session. Now, quickly, we're going to be introducing you to what we call the wealth framework. The wealth framework is a different way of thinking about how you make money. Now, the wealth framework is divided into two parts. There's the create value part and the give purpose part, as you can see on the screen. Now, create value in layman terms means making money, and giving purpose talks about spending money. So in essence, what we are going to be talking about today is how to make money and how to spend money. I'm sure you are all excited about this. So we're going to be learning different ways to think about how we make our money and how we spend our money. And then right smack in the middle of this framework is you and your family. And what this means is that wealth is about you and your family. Whatever we do in terms of making money and spending money should really be about us and our family. Now, I'm going to bring up my colleague Kenneth right away to just give us some introduction into how we came about this wealth framework and what the philosophy around it is. Kenneth, please, if you can hear me, turn on your video. Over to you now, Kenneth.
All right, thank you very much, John, and thank you for the introduction. So we just quickly move to the wealth philosophy. And I mean, usually before we talk about start breaking the wealth framework, we usually give you the background, like John mentioned, on how we came about this wealth framework. So let's talk about our wealth philosophy, and it's based on 5 beliefs. So as you can see on the screen, the first one is to start with the end in mind. And what does that mean? You know, even while listening to Dari's speech, he said something about our financial planning tilting towards our retirement. So if we base it on retirement, what kind of retirement do you want to have? So this time is maybe probably the time to begin to start reflecting on how the end will look like. And it's not only applicable to retirement, it applies to different goals, different financial goals, and then objectives you have. Number 2 is wealth is about your life purpose. And the truth is that we cannot separate our wealth from our life purpose. Wealth is a lifelong journey. So it's not something that you start immediately and think that you would deal with within a short term. No, it's something that you start and walk through it all through your life, even from the day you pick your first job, all through retirement, and even after retirement, and even after you leave this world. What kind of legacy do you want to leave for your loved ones? Risk is relative. Risk for me is different for maybe risk for John. For me, I have kids that are under 7 years. John probably has kids going to secondary school and all of that. And you can imagine for someone, if I'm a retiree, risk for a retiree is different for risk for me. So risk is relative. I mean, and as we go on, we would explain these things further. And the last one, you and your family are unique. It just shows how unique we are made in our different worlds. So just quickly move to the next slide, John. I'm going to talk about goals and preferred future in the next slide. And as you can see on the screen, a gentleman from MIT, his name is Dr. Peter Senge. He put an elastic band on his hand like this, and what he did was to call the upper part preferred future and the lower part current reality, as you can see on your screen. And he was able to build a creative tension. So he came up with this very interesting engineering principle, which states that tension always seeks to resolve itself to the more stable state. So what does this mean to us in Financial Fitness Academy? It means that when your goals are clear to you, the kind of tension that you build is the one that takes you up, like you can see, to your preferred future. But if it's not clear to you, those around you, your family, your friends, your loved ones, you just find yourself living in your current realities where you face the same challenges year on year and day on day. So moving on to the next slide. And this next slide talks about money personality. And when we talk about money personality, we really need you to be honest, like really honest to yourself. And I'm going to ask you this question: which money personality are you? And I need you to be honest, to yourself. Are you the wary one? So you think about every penny you spend? Are you an entrepreneur? Entrepreneur are people that see opportunities here and there. They could just travel to a particular location, see opportunities, start a business, grow the business, move to another place, just keep growing business and making, building their business and building their wealth, through businesses, and the truth of the matter is this: if the third one is the big spender. If you are a big spender, and you're in a relationship where both of you are big spenders, then there might be an issue that needs to be tackled there. But when both of you, maybe you and your spouse, are big spenders and you begin to talk about it, begin to understand how to cut down and make budget for yourself, which we'll also talk about in this series, it's a step to the right direction. Are you a smart one? Wow. So you just really need to be honest to yourself when it comes to talking about the money personality. So let's talk about mapping financial life journey, the way we actually mapped it here in the Financial Fitness Academy before I hand over to John. So we start from the young and the promising person. And what do we think that the young and the promising person needs? Maybe to start making a budget and tracking your money, make a dent in your debt, start saving for retirement, draft and sign up a will, insure yourself against disability. So as you climb through the corporate ladder, what are the kind of things would you start considering? We think that you should get a financial plan, initiate more aggressive savings and investment plans, buy good assets. When you get married, always good to update your will, get insured, begin to pay off home loans. As parents who would review your estate plan, aim to be debt-free, save towards children education, which is very key. Teach your children about money. At the Financial Fitness Academy, we always encourage that we teach our children about money. This year we started, FFA for kids, and we invited so many of our clients and for these sessions, and the kids were really, and what we shared in the event was really, insightful for these kids. So we encourage that you talk to your kids about money at home. Plan your retirement income with tax math at parenthood. So at retirement, know your budget, review your investment, downsize, look to fund potential long-term care cost. All right, so moving on to the next slide, we are going back to the wealth framework, and I would just be handing over to John to start unpacking this interesting wealth framework, and he will be starting with the create and build segment. John, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kenneth. Thank you for taking us through that philosophy. And I'm glad to be back again to quickly talk to us about the create and build aspect. So here's the wealth framework again. And remember what we said about the wealth framework. The wealth framework is about two broad things: creating value and giving purpose. And we've said that both actually in layman terms speaks to how we make money and how we spend it, making money and spending money. Now, if you look at your screen, the first quadrant we'll be talking to is create and build. And create and build speaks to how we make money. And so that's the first thing. Now, what we need to consider and the way we think about creating and building wealth is that we are all on different journeys to making money and building wealth. There are some of us that are entrepreneurs. I saw someone in the chat area mention that he is an entrepreneur or she is an entrepreneur, and that's one way in which we can build wealth or make money. Some of us are corporate employees. We work for organizations. Some of us are self-employed professionals like doctors, architects, lawyers, while some of us have inherited some sort of legacy from our parents. And so we earn monies, passive income based on those inheritance, whether they are properties, shares, and the likes. Now, it's important to know the journey that you are on in terms of making money and building wealth so you can position yourself for success. And the way to achieve this success we're talking about is to invest in yourself, stay relevant, and stay focused on your goal. Why? Because there are no shortcuts in life. Now, what this slide depicts is the different journeys in wealth creation that we talked about earlier. For those of us that are entrepreneurs on this call, you will agree with me that it is sort of like a topsy-turvy type of ride. So 1 minute you have money, the next minute maybe you're broke, and then some customer comes along again and, they pay you money and on and on and on like that. But then if you're focused on your goal and you stay relevant and you continue to improve yourself as an entrepreneur, then typically what happens is you keep going up and increasing in your net worth over time. And generally, entrepreneurs tend to do a lot better than even those of us that are in corporate employment. But then you see the different wealth creation journeys. And so what we said is that the formula for success is you dream, you add hard work to your dream, you add dedication to the hard work and dream and perseverance, and then you will achieve success. So quickly, I'm going to be calling on our Chief Executive for Stanbic IBTC Trustees, Mr. Charles Omuera, to just come and give us some insights on this create and build that we're talking about. So Charles, if you can hear me, would like you to turn on your video and your camera. You're welcome, Charles. So quickly, I want to ask you, when it comes to create and build, how have you used this wealth framework we're talking about to set yourself up for success? Over to you, Charles.
Thank you very much, John, and hello everyone once again. In answering your question, I'll walk us back to the 5 beliefs that underpin our wealth philosophy. And the first one says, start with the end in mind. So I will go back to when I just got married. And for us, what was important to us was family, quality of family life, and quality of life with our children, the kind of schools we wanted the children to go to, and all of those. And that was what underpinned everything we decided to do in terms of ensuring that we had the right jobs to be able to provide for our families. So definitely when I got married, I only had a first degree. I went on to do a second degree and a third degree because that gave me, that put me in a position to create value in employment. I'm not very adventurous or innovative, so I wasn't going to go the entrepreneurship way, but I knew that I needed to put proper structures in place to ensure that we developed the kind of quality of life that we wanted and brought up our children the way we wanted. And again, like you've said, every family is unique. So the risk for us was different. When our first son was born, we took a decision that my wife will work from home to ensure that our children were brought up right. I mean, that was a huge financial decision, to take, and it impacted or not. But we put in structures. We understood that we needed just to be able to provide for the basics. And as we'll go on, I will speak to how we saved and invested to make sure that all the plans that we had came to fruition or were on the path to it. I'm in that stage where I'm beginning to consider. I'm taking on all that you're saying now and learning myself, because I'm in that stage where in a few years' time, I'll be looking to retire as well. So I'm asking myself, as you go down the line, the environment may change, needing you to alter your plans a bit. But the most important thing is to have a plan and to stay focused. So put a plan in place, create, build, and follow through. Thank you, John. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Charles. That was a very interesting and very brief insight, but also very, very powerful. And I hope that our distinguished audience were able to pick 1 or 2 things from the insights that Charles shared. But 3 degrees, wow. Interesting. Man, I only have 2 right now. I think I should go for a 3rd and a 4th one, Charles, so I can beat you to it. But I hope that we all appreciate the idea of creating and building wealth. It's really about us adding value to ourselves. And so we will quickly take you through a think tank moment. Remember, at the start of this session, we said that the wealth framework is about thinking differently on how you make money and how you spend money. So we're going to be having short sessions during this engagement for like 30 seconds to just reflect on the things we're talking about. And so right now, we would like you to take about 30 seconds to think about the following things. 1, how do you currently create wealth? Are you an entrepreneur? Do you work and earn a living as a corporate employee? How do you currently create wealth? Secondly, think of ways you can leverage your skill sets to increase your value in the marketplace. And then finally, think of the risks to your ability to make money. So I'll give you a few seconds to think about that, and then I'll come back to you shortly. Thank you, everyone. Okay. So in rounding up this session, I want to leave us with this important quote from Jim Rohn. And it says, we get paid from bringing value to the marketplace. So we get paid for the value and not the time. So please think on these things as I bring back my colleague, Kenneth Omiogu, to talk to us about another aspect of the wealth framework, which is how we spend our money. Kenneth, please turn on your video. Over to you.
Thank you very much, John, and very interesting insight from Charles there. All right, so we are talking about spending money. John just spoke to us about create and build, which is the making money piece. So let's talk about spending money. And this speaks to maintaining a chosen lifestyle and realizing your dreams, plans, and aspiration. And spending could be, education for your children, travel and holiday, buying lifestyle assets, hobby, and the rest. So why is this important? To take care of ourselves and our family, and how do we achieve this? This is the key word to take here. And I think the live and enjoy piece is centered around this: living a life you can afford and making lifestyle choices in line with your budget and future goals. All right, so let's speak about budget in the next slide. So you can't talk about spending here without talking about budgets. And you agree with me that the first step on the journey to financial freedom is a carefully planned budget. So in our Financial Fitness Academy, we don't make budget look like something huge, like, all these big tables, Excel tables, where you put different figures. No, we made it very simple so that we can relate to it in this session. So we said budget is income minus expenses. So income could be salary. So for those of us who are active, who are corporate employees, we earn salary, and that's how we make income. So if we own properties and we put those properties up for rent, so we can earn rental incomes. And interest from our investment businesses can give us income, minus expenses, which could be fixed, variable, or unforeseen. We'll talk about this in the next slide. I think, yes, in the next slide. So let's talk about mapping your finances. And when we talk about spending money, we want you to reflect on the different areas where you spend money. So is it on travel, education, communication, entertainment, and home? I know some people that they are huge spenders when it comes to entertainment. So a huge part of their income goes into entertainment. So, but in mapping your finances, this is how we advise that you do it. Now, you agree with me that usually when our salaries are paid, maybe in the first week, 2 days, 3 days, or the first few days, 50% of the salary is gone, just like that. It's because we, most times every month spend these monies on fixed cost. So fixed cost can be, electricity bill, security bill, rental bills, name all the bills that, come here and there, those are fixed costs. And then variable and unforeseen costs, comes here and there. And, in the Nigeria that we live in, where prices of things are going up, tariffs, just this year, last year, PMS prices going up, and all that was, even the increase in dollar exchange rates, affecting expenses in the market, expenses in the market, so we go to the market, something that we see at a particular price, by the time we've gone there, it has added in value. Those are unforeseen and variable costs. And we usually recommend that in the Financial Fitness Academy, that at least to start with 20% of your finance income should go into your financial goal. Then if you keep doing it and you improve on it, you can actually increase the numbers that you put there. So this part, the next slide, is one of my best parts in this framework, Live and Enjoy, which is we talk about assets. So we talk about buying assets, and in buying assets, we talk about good assets versus bad assets. So what are good assets? Good assets generate income and increases in value, while bad assets do not generate income and decreases in value. So I'll just take us, I'll just ask that we do a quick exercise now. So if you can hear me, just quickly, let me see your ideas, your feedback on this. Quickly go to the Q&A segment, and let's just quickly do this exercise. I'll ask you a question and you respond. So the first question will be house. So if you think a house is a good asset, right house, good asset. If it's not, right house, bad asset. So a house. Is a house a good asset or a bad asset? I would like to see your responses in the Q&A segment of this platform. So if you think a house is a good asset, right house, good house, yes, good asset. If you think house is a bad asset, again, right house, bad asset. How about plot of land? Plot of land is a big thing in Nigeria. Usually people, when they get their first job, they are usually advised to invest in landed properties where they can buy this land cheaper. And after many years, it appreciates in value and they can sell or develop it, whatever the case may be. So is a plot of land a good asset or a bad asset? Let me get your response. How about plot of cars? Just imagine someone who owns like 10 cars. So cars, do you think cars are good assets or a bad asset? Fleet of cars. So we are talking about somebody who owns 10 cars. So if that guy has 10 cars and those cars are on the streets of Lagos, generating income from Uber business or Bolt business, then you might want to consider it a good asset. So it depends on what these assets, are actually doing. So we move on to debt principle. Again, we are talking about spending, so you can't remove debt from spending. So debt, one of the keys to financial freedom is managing your debt successfully, then saving. So we will talk about how you can manage your debt successfully here. So what are the things to consider when you want to take up a debt? Number one, we think that you should be aware of debt with too much interest. Be aware of funding ones with debt. And what do we mean by that? We've seen cases where people fund ones with debt. An example, typical example would be a family that wants to travel for vacation in Dubai and they are taking huge loans to go for those trips. We just think that is not a wise thing to take a debt for, so, be aware of funding those kind of ones with debt. Have full visibility of all debts, be aware of hidden costs. So in taking debt, there are ways to lower debt, and it's in the next slide. And we call it strategies to consider when managing your debt. So number one strategy would be to tackle debt with higher interest rate first. So if you want to lower your debt and you think that you have debt here and there, there's a solution, and that's what we are recommending here. We recommend that you tackle debt with the higher interest first. Pay off credit card debt immediately. Consider debt consolidation or debt canceling. So why do we say debt canceling then? Because we've seen people who owe different institutions, they owe different people, and they don't even know the people they owe. By the time salaries are paid, by the end of the month, they are using it to solve what we call BC. So if you think you need debt canceling and debt consolidation, we can actually offer that to you. All you just need to do is to click on the link, that will show up, or the link posted on the chat area, put in your details, and after this session, we'll talk to you personally about that. Sell assets for cash, and please, the final strategy, don't add more debt to the pile. All right, so now I'll be calling on Yinka Johnson. Yinka Johnson is the head of business development, Stanbic IBTC Pension Managers Limited. So Yinka can hear me, you can turn on your camera and unmute yourself. So Yinka, I'll be asking you this very critical question when it comes to live and enjoy. So Yinka, when it comes to living our chosen lifestyle, would you say that people in Nigeria typically live a life they can afford? Yinka, over to you, please.
Thank you very much, Ken, and good afternoon, everyone, once again. Thank you for the question. Do people in Nigeria live a life they can afford? Well, the general thing, Nigerians is a mixed multitude, but I can speak for myself. I can't speak for others. I can speak for myself and how I came to understand where I was. So I attended this session like maybe 4 to 5 years ago, and I had, before that time, I had worked like 15 years in the financial services industry, and I was surprised at the things that I had left, that I had assumed I had under control, but I did not have under control. After I had that session, I went home and I called my husband, and we tried our hands on the budgeting tool. You know, we just listed out all the monies, the bills, and everything that we pay every month or every year, and we listed it against how much we earn in the year, bonuses, whatever it is that come. We put everything against side by side, and we saw that we were practically living from paycheck to paycheck. We were not suffering, we were hustling. Every bill that we had to pay, we will rush, we will hustle, and we'll pay it. But in terms of our plans for tomorrow, our plans for, we wanted to buy a house, we had not bought a house. We were planning that the children will study abroad. We have no clue how that will be done. Different things that we planned that we're going to do, we just saw that there was no way that was going to happen, except we discovered that one family member left something for us, and that was also not very probable. So we decided to pay attention to our finances based on what we learned here. And we did two things. The first thing was that we cut down our expenses. And to cut down our expenses, it was not such a difficult thing to do. All we just did was to look at all the things that we spent our money on. We looked at our normal bills that we pay for, maybe running of the house. You would not imagine how much it takes to buy food and run the house. For running of the house, for the house rent, the school fees, we go on vacations at least maybe once every 2 years, you know, that period. We just listed all those things out and said, okay, what should go out of all these things? We look at the school, we look at everything, and we even called the children to say, guys, this is what is going on. We have to, you know, work towards our plans. And they understood what was going on, and they even pitched in. For example, simple things, because it helps them to understand what is going on. For example, we used to buy pizza and ice cream every Sunday. From church like this, we'll just stop at Domino's and we'll buy. And that would cost us like maybe 15,000 naira every week, you know. And we all decided that, okay, we will only do this once a month going forward. So now we have Pizza Sunday, which is the last Sunday of the month. You know, they downgraded their cereal from the foreign ones to the Nigerian ones, and small things like that they actually paid attention to help even them to understand that money does not fall from trees, and it's not God that puts, you know, money inside ATM machine. There is a science to it, you know. So things like that. The biggest one that we thought was going to be hard was the cutting off of the vacation, because that was a lot of money that we spend on that thing every year. And we canceled it for that year. When we canceled it, we felt that maybe the children were going to be, you know, sad, or maybe their friends were going to say, why didn't you? But the thing is, nothing changed. Nobody noticed that we did not go anywhere. The children did not feel any, they were not depressed. Everybody was fine, and we saved that money. We saved that. We did for like the next 3 years. We didn't go anywhere. In fact, I don't even think we have gone anywhere since that time. And nobody has died. What that made me realize is that nobody's really looking at you, and nobody really cares. It's, if I say I want to borrow money now, who will borrow me the money? Nobody. They will say, you're a big girl, you should have money. So I'm managing myself. The second thing that we did was to start saving. And the saving, what we did was to treat our savings like a bill, like the house rent and all the things. We started treating like a bill. So at the end of the month, when salary is paid and I start paying the bills that we have to pay, also there's a direct debit to a mutual fund account that happens. And so the money just goes to every month. By the second day of salary being paid, the money has left my account. I can't even see it. And so I have to manage whatever I have in my account. And that has helped us to build our monies, even in terms of buying the house. We built up the money as the equity for mortgage. We built it up and we could, go into that. So what we have done really is just paying attention to the things we have learned and taking it step by step to achieve our goals. Thank you very much. Back to you. I think it's Kenneth.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Yinka. And I can imagine how the kids felt when you started cutting down on some of those expenses. And it's true. Remember that I said it, that it's always good to have this conversation with your kids. Talk to your kids about budgets and all of that. Let them understand how the science behind making money, saving money, creating a budget. And then that would really change, the world for the next generation. So let's just quickly move to the next slide. And this slide is on think tank. So we are going to reflect on this segment, this framework, Live and Enjoy. So if you can hear me, John, please move to the next slide, the think tank. So on this slide, we are reflecting on the Live and Enjoy framework, and I'll be asking us, an important question. So describe your current lifestyle for the following 5 areas. So the following 5 areas is your house, car, hobbies, family, and others. So what it means is that if you the house where you live in, is it a 2-bedroom apartment, is it duplex, is it bungalow? Just describe it. So you use it, maybe your writing material, describe it. Do you have 2 cars, 3 cars, 4 cars? Hobbies, what kind of hobbies do you have, and family size? And if there are others, you can also list them out. So describe your current lifestyle for the following 5 areas. And the next question to ask yourself is, are you living a life you can afford with regard to the following 5 areas? So the following 5 areas that you listed. So if the house you live in, is something you can afford easily, and you pay the rent without stress, just write yes. If you're struggling to pay rent, or struggling to pay off mortgage on that kind of house that you're living in, just write no. How about your cars? Yes, no. Are you living the life you can afford with regards to that area? How about the area of hobby and family size? Always good to have this noted. So let me give you like 2 seconds, 10 seconds to quickly do this exercise, and then I'll be back. Thank you. All right, I'm back. So I'll just end this segment with this quote before I hand over to my co-facilitator, John. And the quote is from Will Rogers, very interesting quote when it comes to spending money. And it says, too many people spend money they earn to buy things they don't want, to impress people they don't like. A quote from Will Rogers. So John, if you can hear me, please turn on your camera and unmute. John, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kenneth, and thank you, Yinka, for that powerful insight. I can see a lot of people in the chat saying, oh, fantastic, well done, and all of that. Please keep your questions coming. We would have a Q&A session at the end of this presentation where we will take some of those questions, but also we have a team in the background that are currently addressing all your questions and the concerns that you've raised. Now, so that we don't keep getting the same question, one of the most frequent questions that we've gotten so far has to do with the slides or the presentations for all the sessions that we've had. We wish to assure you that all of those presentation slides will be made available to everyone that has participated in the different sessions as earlier promised at the last 2 sessions. So please ensure that you use the QR code like we suggested. Going there, indicate your name, your contact information, or use the link that will be pasted again in the chat area, and we'll definitely reach out to you. And for all our invitees, we will make sure that you all get the presentation slide. So we will also get our dedicated relationship managers to send those information to you through your HR contacts as well. So we thank you everyone again for participating. And right now we'll quickly move to the 3rd quadrant in the wealth framework. Remember, the wealth framework is about making money and spending money, which is about creating value and giving purpose to your life. We've looked at create and build. We've looked at live and enjoy, which is about how to live a life that we can afford. Now we want to look at save and invest. Now, save and invest focuses on how to achieve long-term value creation and your goals. Now, it's important to consider this so that we can attain what is called financial independence. Now, financial independence is a state in which money is no longer a problem for you. So anything you can think about that money can buy is no longer a problem for you. So the question is, how much money do you need to achieve financial independence, and how do you go about doing that? Now, what we recommend is that you identify and save for multiple specific long-term goals. I'll say that again. Identify and save for multiple specific long-term goals. Now, in the course of this particular segment, you would see what those multiple specific long-term goals are. But I want to leave you with this very important quote from Warren Buffett before we continue. Now, you can take a picture of this, you can do a screenshot, but it's important that you remember this quote. It says, "Do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving." This quote summarizes the problem that most people have with saving. We typically tell ourselves, oh, I'm going to save this time around. I'm going to save when I get that money, blah, blah, blah. But then when the money comes, what then happens is all sorts of needs just start popping up from everywhere. And then we start immediately taking care of those needs and concerns. And then midway through the money, we realize that we haven't saved. And then we still have all of those needs, several other needs looming in our faces, and then we say to ourselves, oh, I'm going to save the next time. But guess what? The next time, we're back again to square one. We start tackling all the needs. And it's funny how whenever you have money, you just begin to realize problems that you did not know you had, which is why Warren Buffett, one of the richest men alive, actually says that the best thing to do is to save what is left, is to not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. In effect, you should save first before you start spending. Think of it as tithing. You know how some of us, those of us of the Christian religion, how we like to set aside 10% of our income as tithe. Now, imagine you do something like that with your savings. You'll be able to achieve a lot of the financial goals that you have. Of course, there are a lot of reasons why we should save, and I won't go into too many details, but I'd like to talk on two main ones. One is that you can earn a return on your money, and it helps you get through a rainy day. And so we encourage you that you should start saving early, and that you should also get your kids to also start saving. Like they say, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. It's never too late to start saving. So please, let's consider this seriously, and then let's start putting aside monies towards our goal. Now, what are some of these goals that we're talking about? So I want us to quickly go into the chat area now and respond to my question. So one, how much does an average wedding in Nigeria cost today? How much? At the last session we had, some people said 2 million, some people said 5 million, some people said 500,000. To you, how much does an average wedding in Nigeria cost? And you can type your answers in the chat area. How much does an average wedding in Nigeria cost today? Also, if we look at children's education, how much do you think it would cost to take your child from preschool to university? At the session, someone said 20 million. I'm not even sure if 20 million will cut it for those people that are considering sending their children overseas, for instance. So how much do you think it would cost? You can also post that in the chat area. How much do you think it will cost to a typical wedding will cost and your children's education would cost? Someone says 2 million. Fantastic. Now you see why we all need to consider all the different goals and how to save towards them. Now, Albert Einstein says compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. Now, this speaks to not just saving, but our ability to multiply our savings so we can earn a lot more. Now, here are some questions that people have been asking with the way the economy is and things are happening around us. They're saying, my investment has taken a turn for the worse. What do I do now? I'm retiring soon. My pension value has dropped. What should I consider? What are my options? What is the impact if I default on the loans that I've taken for my house or my car over the long term? And how can Stanbic IBTC help me in meeting my financial journey? Now, to address all of these things, we're going to listen again to our colleague, the MD and Chief Executive of Stanbic IBTC Trustees, Charles O'Meara, and he's just going to talk to us again about some things from his personal life regarding this particular interesting topic that we're talking about right now. So, Charles, if you can hear me, please turn on your camera, and I would like to ask you that what do you think in terms of saving and investing? How have you been able to apply some of the things that we're talking about in your own life? Over to you, Charles.
Thank you very much, John. Before I directly answer your question, at every session that I have participated in, there's always something to take away. And so, Yinka, thank you very much. You know, that treat your savings like a bill. You know, that really stuck to me, and this is something that you can tell someone to take on. So I will continue from where I started in terms of create and build. So like I said, you set a vision for yourself and you ask yourself, how do you achieve that? Education has always been very important to me because my late father was an educator, and so everything education always had an interest for me. So when I got married, with a first degree, I knew that to get ahead, to fulfill my goals, I needed to improve myself. And so there was obviously first savings to be able to do my master's and an MBA. I have two boys, and also what was key for us also was to be able to educate them such that they can be global citizens. So two things: get them educated properly and give them the exposure that they require. And in the first instance, I was very lucky. I had met someone who worked for an insurance company then. I said, look, you can put education insurance in place, you know, and every month he came and collected a check from me, you know, and that was how I saved. And my children got into nursery and primary school. And there were times when, even with the savings, my own personal savings outside of that education insurance, there were shortfalls. And I had to go and dip into that to ensure that they finished primary school. By the time they got into secondary school, I started working for Stanbic IBTC, the Stanbic IBTC group. I've been here for a little over 12 years. And there was the mutual fund opportunity, just your money market opportunity. And you know, just like what Yinka said, there was direct debit, and that helped in taking them through secondary school. The decision was obviously made earlier as well to say, look, we needed them to go outside of Nigeria, outside of the shores. And so many years ago, we took advantage of the opportunity to accumulate FX. And because again, Stanbic IBTC has a dollar fund, these monies went into the dollar fund. Some went into purchasing Euro bonds and all of that, took advantage of that opportunity. So my two boys today are almost through. My older one is in his final year in the UK. The younger one is in the second year in the US. And I'm calm. I'm not too worried about all the fluctuations that we see now. In fact, I'm saying to them quickly, please hurry and leave so that I can move on to the next stage of my planning, my wife and I, you know. In between all of that, I always say that, I mean, like you saw one of the models we talked about was live and enjoy. So you also have to live a little even while you spend, but you also have to plan for that. So for us, it was important for us to also expose them to other parts of the world, and we've successfully had to do that. Again, I say that education is very important to me, so there must always be an education piece. So before we go anywhere, I said to them, even while they were in primary and secondary school, go and look at what is interesting to see in those countries, you know. So the museum, I mean, we, for example, went to Ghana, went all the way to Cape Coast, look at the slave trade routes, because it also became education for them. But again, you have to save and invest. Some of us can take risks. I mean, our risk tolerance levels are different, but I say to you, invest in what you know. You know, if you don't know, find experts. You are sitting where you are in this forum, and there are a number of experts across the different investment asset classes that are available. But the singular thing I want to take away from here today is to defer that gratification. That's the principle of saving and investing. Yeah, pushing it forward, ensuring that your later part is better than your current part. Thank you very much, John. Back to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Charles. Thank you for those powerful insights. And I like the last things that you said about deferring gratification. Now, we have a couple of questions in the chat area around this subject. Some people are talking about devaluation and the impact on savings and all of that. I'm sure that our colleagues will get round to it, and then also in the Q&A session we are going to address that. Once again, please, if you've downloaded the QR code reader, you can scan this QR code. We will also paste the link in the chat area, so you can go in there and engage us, indicate the areas in which you are interested. So Charles had mentioned different savings options. You might have questions around other things. Some people have asked about mortgage, all of those things. We have experts on standby who will reach out to you within the next 48 hours. So please do not lose this opportunity to interact with us. Now, I am going to quickly just move ahead and talk to us about this other aspect of the wealth framework, which is share and legacy. Now, we've talked about making money, we've talked about spending money in terms of living a life that we can afford, and we've talked about saving and investing. It's also important as we grow our wealth to think about how we use our money, our time, and our passion to make a difference. Obviously, this speaks to philanthropy. There is the ripple effect in this life. They say that we live in a karmic universe, which means that one good turn deserves another. We would not only be helping ourselves, but we'll also be helping our family and even our generation as we think about adding value to the world around us. Now, keep in mind again, that is not just about money. So it's about how you use either your money, how you use your time, or how you use your passion to make the world around you a better place. And this again is another way to spend our money. So you can give to your local community, you can leave an inheritance for your children, you can start a family business, you can have alternative investment, or you can invest in your passion. So perhaps you could start a soup kitchen and cook for the underprivileged people in your neighborhood, for instance, and on and on. There are lots of things that we can do in this area. I would like to leave us with this very important quote from Albert Einstein, and he says, "It is every man's obligation to put back into the world at least the equivalent of what he takes out of it." And on that note, I will quickly invite my colleague Kenneth to come and take us on the last aspect of today's session. Kenneth, if you can hear me, please turn on your video and your mic. Over to you, Ken.
Right, thank you very much, John, and I thank you all for still staying here with us. I believe that the session is going smoothly, and all that we have been discussing here has been very insightful. So I'll just quickly talk about the last piece of the framework, which is the plan and protect, and we call it the golden ribbon that protects all the 4 frameworks. That's making money, which is create and build, spending money, live and enjoy, saving money, save and invest, and giving money, share and legacy. So you have your family, you and your family in the middle, like John has explained. So the critical question I'll be asking us here is, just think of you as an individual. You spent all these years in active service, maybe 30, 25, 40 years in active service, working all your life, acquiring all this wealth, saving money and building, your wealth. And all of a sudden, an unforeseen event occurs, and the monies that you saved, worked for all these years, just get eroded. And this unforeseen event can happen within a split of second. That's why we think that it's important to plan and protect. And this speaks to how to plan wisely and protect yourself, your family, and your assets. And why is this important? To protect yourself against the unforeseen event that can erode your wealth. I already said that. And how do you achieve this? Very critical. Have a sound financial plan, and also to have an adequate insurance in place. We also included bills to it. So let's quickly move to the next slide. So for insurance, if you look at the formula we had there, we call insurance protection plus provision divided by risk. And there are two ways that we've also mapped out for planning and protecting your asset, you and yourself, your family, and your asset. Number one is a will. A will is a legal document where you explain how and to whom your assets are to be distributed at death. Insurance protects you against risk and will provide for you and your family when the unexpected event occurs. And there are different types of insurance to consider. That's moving to the next slide. There are different types of insurance available to you, and they could be short-term or long-term insurance. Short-term insurance can be motor insurance, household content insurance, professional indemnity, property insurance, and the likes. Then long-term insurance, life insurance, health insurance, endowment plan, funeral policy, and education plan. If you notice, in this session, we've been talking about planning for the education of our children, and we also think that is important, especially for those of us in active service. So lastly, on the insight piece, I'll be calling on Yinka again to share a quick insight on this part of plan and protect, and I'll be asking Yinka a critical question here. So Yinka, if you can hear me, I can see that your mic is unmuted and your video is on. All right, so Yinka, here is the question. When it comes to protecting your life, your assets, and your business, what would you say are key priorities, and how should you be thinking about it? Over to you, Yinka.
Thank you very much, Ken. So this subject, this particular one, is something that we always overlook, but it's something that if it's risk, it's covering risk, and we always, Nigerians, we believe, we have faith that nothing bad will happen to us, nothing bad will happen to our families and our whatever we have. But it's also, it does not take the place of planning. It does not. So a friend of mine one time, he had just bought a car. It was a very nice car. And I think it was maybe a few weeks down the line, somebody had forced him to do a comprehensive insurance, and it just felt like comprehensive insurance. I should just do third party and just move on. What is it? But they forced him to do the comprehensive insurance, and he was going through the toll gate in Lekki Phase 1 area. I don't know what happened. He said he just didn't see that there was one boulder there, and it was a new car. He just ran into the boulder, and the whole front of the car, everything was gone. And for that kind of car, if you were going to replace anything there, it's like almost buying another smaller car, those kind of things. So we just laughed over it, that some of these things, the more as things are, the level of the importance of that thing that you have is the level of importance you should attach to the insurance and the protection for that thing, so that you're not running helter-skelter, whenever we need to, cover those costs if those risks should materialize. The one I want to really focus on, because this is a pre-retirement, seminar, is the is the will part. And you know, we always say, whenever we say, do a will and all that, we will say, God forbid, I will not die in Jesus' name, or not, you know, those kind of things. But we believe that, but the stories that we hear, remember that this is a pension fund administrator, and sometimes we appear as if we are very strict and all that, but it's because of the things that, you know, our eyes have seen in this work, the kind of people that come. You will not believe the kind of people that come. You not believe a person that will, children, grown children that will bring the obituary of their father that is not dead, that we should pay the man's benefits, and all those all sort of things you even want to imagine. But this story is about the will, where a man that was working in one of these telecommunications company, he wasn't really old, armed robbers entered their office and he was shot and he was killed. He died. He had a young wife and 2 young children, maybe 5 years and 3 years kind of, and they were living in the north around Kano. Yes, I think they were living in Kano. And you know, while they were there, when he died, now the woman was mourning, she was sad and all that. So she had to, you know, go to Kwara State where her mom was, and she was just, you know, she was still in mourning, she was there. But there was, we now got like an application for death benefits for this man from someone, and everything had, you know, gone through the process. Because remember that the to access a death benefit of someone is not just like we'll call the next of kin and give to the person. No, it is either the person has a will, or after the person has died, his family will go and do a letter of administration in the Nigerian Court of Law. We will take that letter of administration, verify it, and be sure that it is real. And whoever brings that letter of administration first, that's the law of Nigeria, is the person that will be paid the benefit. In this case, this man did not have a will, and somebody had brought a letter of administration, duly stamped and duly original, and we had processed it. We were just at the point of payment, and my colleague was just, you know, taking a look at it again and looking at it, and he saw that the person that we were paying did not have the surname of this man, and it was a man. So it's not a matter of maybe it's his sister, maybe she's married. So who is this person? You know, and everything was in order. What was going on? So she just called to say, how are you, sir? How is the widow? How is she? You know, just using style to say sorry for your loss and all that. It was from that man that he found out that really there's a widow somewhere. So we had to go and look, investigate and all that. Found the number of the wife, which was not on our system. Found the number of the wife and called her, like, madam, where are you? And she said she's in Kwara. She said, do you know somebody has come to process your husband's whatever? And she did not know, she had no clue. When we asked her, okay, this is the person. And when we asked her who this person was, she said, this was the NYSC, the copper that, you know, that came to do NYSC in the north. But because, you know, we are all from the same village, they sent him that he can come and stay with us. He's a copper, he just came to stay with us. So this guy had done everything, and he had processed the payment. He had processed the payment, and we had to start doing intermediary and all that, because based on the side of the law, this thing looks very unfair. But the thing is, he was very, very much on his right. He had gone to some family people, and they all put themselves together and they were supporting him. We had to beg and beg and beg and mediate between the wife and these other family members, such that in the end, they had to split the money. I'm not sure what percentage the money was split, but it just went to show me that, man, I'm almost sure that this is not what this man would have wanted, because he had 2 small children who had not even started school. I think it's just the first one that had started school. You know, but if he had had a will in place, a small will, a simple will, doesn't even have to be all those comprehensive ones, just a simple will in place, everything will have gone to the person that he was sure that he wanted the monies to go to. So this thing just taught me that, look, I believe the best. I have done a will. I have done a will years running right now, but I know that I want to live long, but I know that if for any reason I'm not here, I know that the will, the monies that I have worked hard for, will go into the right place. People even carry their will and put the estate of put their children, a trust fund for their children on the will. That's on the will, oh, I have set up a trust fund for my children. When, if anything happens, please put my pensions balance and everything in the trust fund for my children with the trustee business. And it is the children that will get the money. Whatever we can, there are different ways of doing this thing. It is better than not being prepared at all and just allowing things to, to go like that. So I just thought to share that story to encourage everyone to, believe the best. Let's trust God for long life, but at the same time, let us plan. Back to you, Ken. Thank you.
Thank you very much, YJ. Our time is fast spent here, and please just we crave your indulgence to allow us to just quickly wrap up this session immediately. All right, so the next thing to talk about here is the think tank, and I want us to think of the steps we can take to protect yourself, that you can take to protect yourself and your family, so we've listed the different types of insurance, either the short-term and long-term insurance, as you can see on the screen. So I'll just quickly hand over back to John with this quote from Ian. And all right, and it says, money is a tool. It will take you wherever you wish, but it will not replace you as the driver. John, over to you. John, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you so much, Kenneth, and thank you everyone for hanging there. Our time is fast spent. We've overshot our time by about 10 minutes, but we want to crave your indulgence to give us about 5 more minutes to just take 1 or 2 pertinent questions that have been raised today. And while we'll do that, remember to scan the QR code, and the URL link for that also will be posted in the chat area, just so you can interact with us, because we know that 1 hour is not enough. A lot of us have very, very burning questions and concerns that we would like addressed. So please scan the QR code or use the URL link that's just been posted into the chat area, so that we can interact with you post this session. Now, the first question that we will quickly address, and I want to quickly take that personally, has to do with questions around accessing your pension benefits. Someone had mentioned in the chat area that we advertised that we were going to address that, but that they couldn't hear anything about that. And so our moderators had responded. We've had 3 sessions so far, and that was addressed on the second day, which was last week. But then we will also make available all the presentation slides to that effect. And again, if you scan the QR code or you use the link, we can also get an expert to speak to you directly about your own retirement and how you can access your pension fund. But then we will make all that information available to you. There are different ways in which people can access their pensions. The most basic one is when they attain the age of 50 and they've stopped working, then they are considered retired under the law. But then if someone is under 50 and they're out of a job, they have to wait 4 months before they're able to access their pension. And in that case, for people who are out of a job but are not up to 50, hence they are not retired under the law, such people can only access about 25% of their pension balance. Now, quickly, I want to take another question. Charles, if you can hear me, please turn on your video, and this question will be posing to you. So someone asked, how can one hedge against the terrible inflation in our climb while involved in an insurance scheme for children's education or any other scheme for future welfare to avoid complete erosion of the value of their savings? Charles, over to you. Thank you.
First and foremost, I would say that I would like a situation where this person gets involved, gets in touch with our asset management guys, or indicates an interest for someone in our asset management business to speak extensively to him or her. However, we're in a funny situation today in our climate as we speak. Typically, what should happen is that investment rates should go up or should climb as inflation climbs, such that there is some sort of a march in the direction. But we're seeing the reverse, or we've experienced the reverse over the last few months. And so it's really extremely difficult. You probably will not be able to do it yourself. So you need professionals who would look at what you have, what you want to do, and would advise you as to the best or near investment that will sort of hedge or reduce the negative impact of inflation that we find ourselves in. Thank you. John, back to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Charles, and thank you for that expert answer. Again, we want to encourage everyone, please, we're putting back up the QR codes and the link. So please scan it so you can get in touch with us and we can address all the burning concerns that you have. Because of our time constraint, we're going to just take one more question. And Kenneth, I'll be posting this question to you on voluntary contribution. Now, somebody says, I was participating in the voluntary contribution scheme when I found out that I cannot access my part of the money to do valuable things for which I'm saving until after 2 years. Even after the 2 years, it's a percentage of my savings that I'm able to access. Now, the savings are voluntary in the first place and so heavily regulated. May I know the real-time benefit of the voluntary savings, especially since I never noticed any interest according to the account? So essentially, this person was unable to access their VC and they had to wait 2 years, and they want to know if there's any real value to it. Kenneth, over to you.
All right, thank you very much, John. And that was really fast. You read that thing too fast, but I think I got the crux of the question. So I'll agree with you, because there was a time in the pension industry or in our business where you can put in money in voluntary contributions and you just pull it out immediately. You know, we had situations where people will put in money today and they pull it out the next day, you know, even the same day. So I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago when PENCOM came up with this guideline around voluntary contribution. That's the 50% rule. And the guidelines state that you would have to leave your money for with us for 2 years before you can access 50% for contingency, and then the other 50% will be kept aside towards retirement. And you know, that rule was set just for us to be able to use the VC for what it is actually meant for. You know, so the VC is actually meant to it is actually an investment or a savings scheme that is meant to augment your pension at retirement, and that's why that 50% fixed part is fixed for retirement savings. So there are different. What I usually tell people is that there are different kind of investment, kind of savings for different purposes. So I actually do VC. I'll use myself as an experience. I continued with the VC, and I even increased, you know, the number I was doing in VC, because what was I looking out for? I was looking out for maybe a retirement, a retirement that I mean, a purposeful retirement, you know, something that would still augment what I have been saving as my retirement, you know. So I mean, I know that you also mentioned things around income, and definitely if you look at your statements, you'll see the income bit, and we earn income on this. And also don't forget the tax benefit that comes from VC. Those are the things that, you know, drive the reason why I save in VC. So definitely, like I said, different purpose for different investment tools for different reasons. So if you want to save for a short-term scheme where you can put in money 3 days, I mean 3 months time or a year time, you want to pick it up, we have vehicles for that. And then for VC, we usually, you know, advise that if you are saving for long term, if you want to save for long term, or if you want to save to augment your pension at retirement, and also to have some contingency, you know, at some point where you can access the 50%, then VC would be the right vehicle for you. Thank you very much. Over to you, John.
Thank you very much, Kenneth. And we are completely out of time, but thank you so much, Kenneth, Charles, Yinka Johnson, and our Executive Director, Stanbic IBTC, Dare Otituju. But our greatest thanks and appreciation goes to every single one of you that joined the session today, especially those of you that have been with us from day one. We say a very big thank you to you so much. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you've learned a lot of things from this session. As we have mentioned severally during the session, all the slides will be made available to you after the session. Ensure you scan the QR code, ensure you use the link that has been provided so that we can engage you further and get our experts to talk to you about the different areas that matter to you. Now, as we bring this session to a close, please remember that a dream written down with a date becomes a goal broken down into steps becomes a plan, and a plan backed by action makes your dream come true. Thank you and have a wonderful day. God bless you all.
Are we back here? Or still live?
Yes, we're still live.